Hey, how's it going, fellas? So today we're going to be doing something a little different. A few weeks back I was contacted by Buyee and they asked me if I wanted to make a video about using their service, a tutorial, if you will. And I thought about it for a little bit, like, is this something that I could or would want to do? But really this does feel like a natural fit for the channel. So let's do it. Today I'm going to run through the process of ordering through Buyee and what you need to know. And stick around for later because I'll actually be unboxing some items that I bought while making this video. Now, what is Buyee exactly? And more importantly, what is a proxy service? You might have heard of that term before. Proxy site, proxy service. Essentially, these websites act as middlemen for you. While shopping internationally has only gotten easier over the years, some stores just don't ship overseas. Stores that might have hard to find items you can't get anywhere else or deals that are just better than the competition. The way it works is that Buyee will buy the items on your behalf. Think of it as having your own Japanese address. When you place orders for items that you'd like to purchase, they're the ones who are going to step in to actually order the goods for you. Once the items are bought, they'll be shipped out and sent to Buyee's warehouse, who will then ship them to you once a shipping method is chosen. It's super straightforward, but I've always thought the best way to explain anything is to show firsthand. So let's just browse Buyee together, and I'll show you the steps I take when I order from them. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is, of course, make an account if you don't have one already. They're going to need your name and address so they could actually deliver what they buy. So you should be able to fill out that form easy peasy. For the purpose of this video, I'm primarily going to be focusing on Mercari.JP, as that's my favorite spot to shop for like rare items or just like good deals in general. But as you can see up top, there are a bunch of suggested sites to get you going, with a ton more on the sidebar here, like 412. That's probably going to take a while to get through. You can even submit a request for an item should you not be able to find it on Buyee directly, which is frankly a service I should try myself one of these days. I've never done this before, but it seems pretty handy. Over on Mercari though, you could tell I've already done a bit of searching myself, but here's how we get started. Head on over to the search bar and just type in what you're looking for. For the best results, you're gonna want to search in Japanese, but if you need help with the spelling, I like to use my figure collection and then just like click on the character's name or franchise. It'll usually show you how you spell it there, or just use Wikipedia. Either works, both are very helpful in a pinch. You could also have a Japanese keyboard set up, but if you do, then you probably just don't need my advice. So good on you. You could tell that Google Chrome is just auto-suggesting things I've searched in the past, so let's just head on over to Xenoblade, because obviously I'm going to look that up. Now, if you want to be depressed for whatever reason, you could check off this box here to see the sold out items, but on the right, I suggest sorting by newest arrivals. You do have other options like highest or lowest price first, but on a competitive site like Mercari.JP, you want to see what's been recently added first in hopes of finding those oddities before anybody else. Now, for someone like me, I don't mind that they're just showing me literally everything Xenoblade related, but maybe you only want to search for the figures from this series. Well, all you gotta do is head on over to the filters here, hit category, search for toys, hobbies, and goods, follow that up with anime figure, and that probably is enough, so hit apply, and then you're gonna get a whole lot of Pyra and Mithra, and most likely Nia as well. Feel free to refine the category to your liking, of course, and then try and find a listing that catches your eye. Now, as I was alluding to earlier, I've already done my Xenoblade search for the day, and unfortunately, I didn't really find anything that I was particularly looking for. So let's search for something else. But before we do that, let's hit save this search down here so that we could save the search term so that we have an easier time accessing it at a later date. So I generally like to search for specific characters or franchises, right? But what about when I don't have anything specific in mind, but I still want to look? Well, one thing I like to search for from time to time is the figure manufacturer or company. It kind of gives you a good sense of like where the market is for some of these releases. Like just search up Alter, for example, and see what people are selling. When you're deep into this hobby, it gets kind of fun to just browse like this for a while. Have some chill music on in the background as you scroll away and maybe discover something that you never knew about or even slipped your mind. Oh, and by the way, I cannot believe how expensive Flandre is now. The quality is outstanding, but like, I just didn't see her jumping in price by like 20,000 yen. Kinda crazy, and her sister Amelia is sold out at the moment. Flandre never sold out. I'm pretty sure that was the case, so these figures are pretty in demand at this point. I feel like they'll re-release Flandre at some point, but let's get back on track. Another thing you could do is to search by the scale size and then narrow the category down to anime figures. You will never reach the end of this search, but if you got the time, you might stumble into something that you never knew about. Also, it kind of depends on how the seller lists the item, so it's not going to catch everything, but more often than not, it's very helpful. One of the newer features on this site I've noticed is the auto translate and search button, which, like it suggests, will take your text and translate it into Japanese. Depending on the complexity of the search, you may be able to get some great mileage out of this. Now, another franchise I like to search up but never get a chance to talk about is Ganbare which barely gives any results should I type it in English, but if I use the auto translate tool, the floodgates open and now I can see everything. So this is a long-running series of video games that barely saw the light of day in the West, but kind of thrived in Japan for a very long time. And some of my favorite games exist within this franchise, so every now and then, I kind of just like to pick up a game from this series to add to my collection. While my video game collection is primarily filled with Western releases, the prices for Japanese games across the board are much cheaper, usually with cooler box art too if you ask me, at least for the retro games, which I do prefer. I'm not really sure how many Goemon games I currently have in my collection, probably like 7 or 8, it's not that many. But I can say that I recently picked up Ganbare Goemon 2 for the Super Famicom. And if you ask me, this is a top 3 in the series. I would probably put this at number 3, I just like the N64 games better. But this one is fantastic, a great place to start, with the only caveat is that this game is pretty difficult, especially the boss fights. Don't take them lightly. This game can be very hard. Alright, let's do another search, this time for Asano Inio. Now, if you're a fan of his series, then you know that getting your hands on merchandise from any of his manga is a pain in the ass. It's all exclusive and limited, and it's very difficult to find. Frankly, it makes me want to cry, but this is where I go when I want to search up for merchandise for Oyasumi Punpun or Dead Dead Demons. Some of you guys have noticed and left comments about the Asano Inio t-shirts that I wear in some of my unboxing videos, and this is how I've bought in all of them because you can't really find them anywhere else. Shirt sizes in Japan can be kind of tricky though. You're usually better off buying one size larger than what you typically wear, as on average they run smaller, but I can't guarantee that. There is a pretty good chance though that you will be able to find the size chart for these shirts if the brand is well known enough, so just do a little bit of research before you buy any clothing. Now this is where I have to admit that I've already bought my items for this video, and the reason for that is very simple. If you want my biggest piece of advice for shopping here, it's that if you see something that you really want and you were already planning to spend the money on it, then just buy it, right away. Far too many times I've seen some figure or weird collectible that I wanted but left it in my cart to think about, only for it to be gone by the time I was ready to check out. Indecisiveness will just kill you on an active marketplace like Mercari. I'm not telling you to just spend money like crazy, be irresponsible of course, but just consider that you're not the only one shopping on the site, and the better deals are gonna get snatched up fast. And yes, this did happen to me twice while making this video, and it didn't feel great, so don't be like me. Here's another tip for you. Let's say you find an item you like, the condition's good, the price is good. I don't actually know the aftermarket prices on this Baltimore, but bear with me for this example. Photos are nice and clear. The description seems to be in order. You can translate this if you need to by hitting the button, of course. And the seller's feedback is overall very positive. What I like to do is head on over to the seller's page by clicking here and then browsing their other items. Chances are if they're selling an anime figure that you wanted, then they're probably also selling other things that are relevant to your interests. It's not a guarantee, you never know, but it's a nice way to discover merchandise that you weren't thinking about or maybe never even heard of before. Hell, you could even save the seller just like you did with the search terms should you find yourself constantly browsing their wares. Alright, let's check out. We got our cart here filled with stuff. As I mentioned earlier though, I've already bought my item, so this is just an example. Unfortunately, not getting the Baltimore or the Marin figure, two very nice pieces. I kind of went big on the figure that I bought, physically large, so I didn't want to indulge too much when it came to anime figures, but I did buy some other stuff, so look forward to the unboxing in 5 minutes. The way it works is that you order the items one by one. There's a service and plan fee per item that you'll have to pay, but thankfully for 95% of Mercari.JP sellers, domestic shipping is free, as in the shipping within Japan to get to Buyee's warehouse. When it comes to plans, I always just choose standard. You get the inspection and insurance if it's damaged. Light could be an option for you if you aren't super concerned about the condition, or maybe the items can't get damaged very easily during transit, or you're buying a ton of cheaper items since it'll add up very fast. But that's up to you, of course. If you have any coupons that are currently active, they'll show up like right here, with the exception of shipping coupons, which you'll choose later. But that's pretty much it, so choose a payment method and then confirm down here, and Buyee will order the item for you. Once an item arrives at their warehouse, they'll let you know via email, and now it's time to finish up your order. If you have just one item, you can choose the shipping method you'd like and pay for it, and this is where you would apply the shipping coupon. But if you're waiting on multiple items to arrive, don't sweat it, as they'll hold your items for free for 30 days. If you've made a multiple item order, what you're going to want to do is consolidate your packages into one bigger package by selecting them and clicking consolidate. You can also choose to pay for package protection, which I usually do if what I've ordered is very expensive, though that's mostly because I'm just overly cautious in general. Consolidating your items will take a couple of days, and when that's done, they'll notify you again via email with some new shipping quotes, and that's pretty much it. Once you choose your shipping method, they'll ship it out shortly after. And now I guess we wait. Well, I wait for you guys. I'm about to cut to the next portion of the video, which is the unboxing. So I guess I'll see ya in like 2 seconds. Later. I mean, I had a feeling this box was gonna be pretty big, but I was not expecting it to be this big. But anyway, how you doing? Today we are unboxing the Buyee haul. Got a nice little spread of items for you, all very Zuko core, just things I like, I guess. 95% of this box is one big figure though, but we'll save that for the end. It was a figure that was always on my radar. I really wanted to pick it up, but the price was outrageous when it went up for pre-order, and honestly, the reviews for it weren't that great either. Like, people liked it, but there were some issues. So now that I got it for a much better price, I'm very eager to see how this one turned out. But like I said, at the end, for now, let's see how we did. I think I'm just gonna put it on the ground and then pull stuff out of it. I think that makes the most sense. Okay, first up, we got a package. Actually, there's two things bundled here. Do them one at a time. Man, I felt like a fool not getting this initially. However, doesn't matter anymore. We got it now. This is Corone's Furball plushie, which I believe went up for pre-order during her 4th anniversary sale. Now, as it typically works with these HoloLive plushies and items, once they go out of stock, that's kind of it, except for like some specific lines. However, I don't think they're gonna reprint this one again. And initially, I just felt like I didn't need this. However, after it sold out, I felt like I was making a mistake. I was gonna regret it. So when I realized that this would probably be on Mercari.JP, I searched it up and lo and behold, I found one. Now, I probably paid a little bit more than I could have, right? Maybe like $20 more. But considering I made a mistake and that's really not that much more money, I'm okay with that. I mean, this is basically Corone's ultimate form, right? She is transformed into a tiny dog. There's still elements of her design, like the jacket, the braided hair, the bones on her ears. It's all very cute. Not sure if this plushie is as good as the Sonic one. That's probably still my favorite, but this is a really nice runner-up, and I'm just happy to have it. I will say though, that because this is like much simpler, it just feels softer. It's not as like annoying to hold because there's so many like little details on that Sonic plushie that feel very like fragile. Maybe not fragile, but just like thin and very easy to like rip or something like that. But this just feels more traditional, like a plush. It's very soft, and I think that's better for a plushie, but it's not like it's a competition. And at the end of the day, both of them are just gonna sit on a shelf anyway, so it's fine. Okay, next up, let's move Corone over there, I guess. Let's do this. Pretty sure I directly talked about this in the first part of this video, so you might know what's coming up. But yeah, like I was mentioning in that part, whenever I get an opportunity to pick up an ASO shirt, I'm gonna do that, and that's what this is here. I guess I'm just gonna like stand up and show you the design. So here we have the Village Vanguard anniversary shirt. Now, I do have another one of these, though it had like all of his series and characters on it. This one is specifically Dead Dead Demons Dead Destruction, which by the way, just got a movie trailer, which I am very excited about. Cannot wait to watch that, though it's probably gonna get stuck in Japan because I don't think it's like super popular over here. And it's also 2 movies. Very strange that they would do 2 movies like 2 weeks apart. I don't understand, but either way, it looks pretty good. I'll admit I was a little worried. It just feels like, if you've ever read any of his manga, that it fits that format to a T, so much so that it might be very difficult to turn into an anime. However, I do think they're doing a good job. I like what I've seen so far, and I can't wait to watch it, whenever that may be. But yeah, new t-shirt. I'll wear this in another video, most likely the next unboxing. Anywho, let's do our next bundle of items. I kind of want to do this one first. It's very small, but I've never seen this before, so I kind of wanted to pick it up for that reason alone. Anyway, what we have here is some Dragon Quest Monster keychains, I guess to celebrate the 15th anniversary. Though this release is very strange because you get Kobe and Tara, and then this little medallion, but you don't get Terry from the original game. But in the box, there's a slot for him. And I thought initially I just bought like a bundle that didn't include him, but everywhere I looked, it didn't come with Terry. So I think you're supposed to get him elsewhere. But I'm not super concerned about that because this does include Kobe and Tara, which are the characters that I know because they're from Dragon Quest Monsters 2. And this game is a core component of my childhood. I probably played this more than Pokemon Red or Silver. I loved this game so much. I have very fond memories of my parents shopping for cars, and I'm just sitting in the back seat going for these test rides, playing the game nonstop. I probably had like hundreds of hours in this game. Now, Dragon Quest Monsters 1 was the game that my older brother had, and I never tried it. I'm pretty sure he just did not like me borrowing his Game Boy games when we were kids. Maybe I would have lost it. I don't know. That would be a good justification though, because I did lose my original copy of Dragon Quest Monsters 2 when I was a kid. But either way, there was remakes of both 1 and 2 on the 3DS, though they never left Japan. I did play them. They're great. And there's also the newer version, the Dark Prince, on the Switch. I haven't gotten a chance to play that yet, but I will. But anyway, there's not really that much to talk about with these. They're very cute little keychains of the characters, and I'm just very nostalgic for these characters. I grew up with them, so I wanted this. In fact, I wish I had more Dragon Quest merchandise, so maybe I'll be on the lookout for some more stuff in the future. All right, so next up we have something that I've actually wanted for a very long time. But it felt a little wasteful to buy this because I only want one thing in this package, and there's 4 minifigures here, but I really don't care about the other 3. Nothing against the characters, but when you see it, you'll understand. This is the Cross of Venus Petite Nendoroid sets. Now, Cross of Venus, I think it has a longer name than that. It's an RPG game that was put out on the Nintendo DS. And I believe this is a Dengeki Bunko crossover game, very similar to their fighting game, but this was originally bundled with the DS game, probably a special edition. If you got that special edition, you would get 4 petite Nendoroids of Taiga, Shauna, Kino, and Index. And since I said Taiga, that's exactly why I bought this, right? I always thought it was a good-looking minifigure, so I wanted to add it to my ever-growing collection of Taiga figures. Alright, so I set up Taiga. As you could see, she comes with her wooden sword, as well as tiger ears and a tail. What I never realized is that you could take off the tiger ears and tail just by like swapping the parts. I didn't realize she had optional parts, so that's kind of cool to see. Now, I'm in a weird situation where I'm not sure if I want to open the other figures. They're cute. I like them. In fact, I might keep the Kino one, but I've never watched Index or Shauna, so I feel like I don't need them. I think I'm gonna have to think about this for a little longer, but I really did just buy this for the Taiga minifigure because I just want more Taiga figures, what could I say? You know, I think it would be pretty hard to argue that these are better or more interesting or more worth it than Nendoroids because they're just not. Like, Nendoroids have faceplates and accessories and they're so much bigger. Not to mention the variety is just insane these days. But at a fraction of the price, I think these are very solid, and I think they could coexist again if Good Small Company ever wanted to really bring back this line. But there you have it, another Taiga figure for my collection, and 3 other figures that I might keep, I might not sure yet. But that's gonna do it for the smaller items. Now it's time to get the big one. Oopla! All right, box in a box. We'll do it upside down. Oh, you can probably see that. There we have it. East Stream's Denji from Chainsaw Man, or maybe this is just called Chainsaw Man. I think That's the official name. But you probably knew this was an Eastream figure considering the box. But yeah, this bargain binned pretty damn hard. It originally was like 46,000 yen. But on Mercari.JP, I constantly see this figure for around 30,000 yen, which seems like the price to jump on if you want to check this guy out. But yeah, as much as I love Chainsaw Man, I've always heard this figure kinda was a little disappointing. A lot of people do love it, but I've heard of some issues that I feel like I'm also going to have with this one. But I'll check it out for myself. I gotta say though, this box is absolutely absurd. I guess when I'm looking at it, it's kind of hard to see with this lighting behind me, but I guess they're not wasting too much space, but the figure looks a lot bigger than I was anticipating. I just hope he's not annoying to set up. He just does not want to go in. I feel like I might need the hairdryer for this. Alright, so let me just say right off the bat, the assembly isn't complicated, but like every peg besides his left arm was extremely hard to fit into place. Like I don't even have the foot pegs in all the way, because this left foot just won't go in. It's very sturdy, I don't think he'll fall over, but I think I need a hairdryer, so I'll do that later. I also want to mention that this is the exclusive version that comes with Pochita as a bonus. I don't think you're missing out on that much if you don't get this little guy, because there's like 1,000 figures of him at this point. But I will say, it looks a little bit nicer than I was expecting. It's very heavy, like this is dense. And I think the metallic paint on the chainsaw itself actually looks pretty good. Just a clean, cute little figure of Pochita, and everybody loves Pochita. But let's talk about the figure. How did Denji turn out? Well, I will say the first impressions are absolutely insane on this guy. It's such a big and heavy piece on top of these blood sprays coming out of the base. It's just super impactful. And then you look at like the guts sliding off of the chainsaws. His shirt is just drenched in blood. Some of the blood looks dried up and is staining his clothes, while other portions are dripping down him, like on his face, for example, which isn't skin, which isn't fabric. It's some sort of like plastic or metal, but the blood wouldn't stick to the surface in the same way, so it kind of just like slips off of him. I think that's a really cool touch. Even his teeth has a little bit of like a spray on it of blood. So it just is a really sick design, super cool composition. But I mean, the art that it's based off of is just so good in general that it would be pretty hard to mess up. Now, I do think they did mess up a little bit in some areas. For example, I really don't like how the blood looks on his back. I've heard it's different for everybody, like how they apply the blood to these figures. I guess whoever is in charge of painting them is just told to make him look like a bloody mess, which is fine, but I do think that leaves some room for error, or figures that just won't look as good as others if they don't get as good of a paint job. And I'm not gonna say mine looks bad, but when I look at the back of mine, it just feels a little bit manufactured. It doesn't look natural, right? Like this isn't a natural looking figure, but if Denji was cutting shit up, killing devils and whatnot, I just don't feel like the end result would look like these randomized splotches of paint. It just doesn't look right to me. But luckily for me, it's the back of the figure where I'm not gonna really see it. And the front looks great, in my opinion, especially like the bottom of his shirt, which is absolutely drenched. I like that a lot. His arms as well, just like the way it's kind of splattered on his arms. It's a really nice paint job, all things considered. I just wish the back looked a little nicer. I think the biggest issue people have with this figure, however, is the base itself. Not so much the blood splatters, because those look very good, especially when like light is bouncing off of them correctly, and you get to see like a variance of dark red and bright red. But this like mush of demons and just like entrails, devil guts, just like all these deformed faces. I think the sculpt itself is fantastic, but it's the paint job that really holds it back. It's like entirely one color outside of that one intestine in the front for whatever reason. It's like a kind of lightish pink, I guess. And then there's like a splatter of brown speckles. It's a little gross, I guess, when you put it that way. but it's just not standing out in a way that it should. It's very dull for whatever reason, because they just didn't put enough effort into the paint. And I'm pretty sure the prototype photos looked better than this. It doesn't ruin my enjoyment of the figure, but I do think it knocks the figure down a little bit because it's such a major portion of the figure. You can't really ignore this, you know? It's just kind of weird to me that they would half-ass the base, but then do a really good job everywhere else. You know, outside of that one complaint with the back of his shirt, I think the rest of Denji's paint job looks superb, and that includes the chainsaws and the blood and the guts that are hanging off of the chainsaws. All of that is fantastic, but I would not have been happy if I paid 46,000 yen plus 13,000 yen for shipping, because this guy is huge, as you saw earlier with that box, and he's very heavy. So I can understand why this figure bargain binned, but as the price decreases, I think the value does go up a bit. It's a very flashy figure though, and it fits the series vibes perfectly. It's got a couple of problems, but nothing that's major, that's going to ruin your experience with it, in my opinion. This is still my favorite Denji figure that has been released so far. I just don't think there's a perfect one yet, but this is a pretty damn good attempt. I think the best one at the moment is probably going to be Prime 1 Studios, but that's a $1,500 figure, a pretty big price difference, so it's expected the quality will be better. But there you have it, that's everything from the Buyee haul. I didn't go crazy this time, but I genuinely enjoyed everything that I got, and I think that's the most important part. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to check out Buyee for yourself, you could check out the link in the description to get started. And if you sign up using my affiliate link, you'll get 10% off your first purchase, and who doesn't like saving money? Thank you once again to Buyee for reaching out to me in the first place to sponsor this video, and I'll see you guys very soon for the next one. Most likely the pre-order roundup if I had to guess, but until then, take care. Later.